Now, you've met with hundreds and hundreds of different individuals across the country, different ages.
Yeah,
What would you say are some of the biggest challenges facing people this like today in our modern society when it comes to personal finance?
that's a man. You got a solid line of questioning, and so I would say there's a couple of things. Um, the biggest challenge is a lack of knowledge, a lack of education, a lack of understanding what to do with the money, right? With the money they have. Now, that's the first thing that comes to mind when you say that. But then if we kind of break that down a little bit, some people aren't making enough money, right? Inflation has been eating us up for the past couple of years, right? It was like 8.5% in 2022, 6.5% last year, and it's at about, I think they're saying it's 3.5%. But like, first of all, they don't. I'm not going to dive. This is not a class on inflation, but like this, we are up percentages. So if it was 8% plus 8.5% plus 6.5%, that puts us at about what is that, like 15%, right? And then if we add 3.5%, so now we're talking about 18.5% up from where we were a couple of years ago. That's extraordinary. It's hitting people hard
Yeah,
because the dollar doesn't go as far as it did, but
yeah,
people aren't making more money.
right.
So what are we doing to supplement our income?
Hmm.
How can we generate more revenue? That's something that people need to think about. And another thing along that same token, guys, if we don't, the Internal Revenue Code was written for entrepreneurs, business owners, and employers. If you're not
Hmm.
falling into one of those categories, you're not maximizing tax advantages. It's literally that simple. So we're leaving over a lifetime hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars on the table that we could otherwise not. And to fall into one of those categories now in this day and age is very simple, but it's just about knowing what you can do. So those are a couple of things, again, kind of diving down the rabbit hole here, but cash accumulation is a big one. But the other thing is, for the people who are making enough money, they don't know where to put it, right? A lot of people are putting their money in 401ks, and I'm not here to bash on a 401k, but again, I'll highlight some facts for you. The first self-funded retirement account, 401k, was established in 1980. The average self-funded retirement account right now for a 65-year-old, so 44 years later, which is about the average working life of an individual if we intend to retire, the average 401k for a 65-year-old right now has about $230,000 in it.
Not enough.
Nobody can retire in this economy with that amount of money, not for more than a year or two. Because think about this, whatever our living expenses are now, we have to multiply that, our annual living expenses. We got to have enough of that to last us for 30 years. And
Or
a lot
more.
or more. And right, because that's the other thing, which actually ties into the next biggest concern that I see for people is they're scared about living their money. And so what are we doing to help make sure that that doesn't happen? And there's three ways that money grows: fixed, variable, and indexed. And diversification involves a little bit of each, like a fixed account for an emergency fund, a variable account for people who want to kind of play and maybe potentially realize big gains, but you can also realize big loss. And then index strategies. Here's where we can realize loss without experience, or pardon me, we can realize gains without experiencing loss, right?
Hmm.
About how amazing would it be to have a foundation and a retirement strategy where you're realizing 8 to 10% gains, but guaranteed never to realize depreciation due to market volatility.